Yep, it's always the guy they tell you not to worry about. Once again, I am in a predicament, and this time, my wife is cheating. And the reason that she's cheating on me is because she found a new guy. It's the same guy that they're business partners with. And she told me, don't you worry about him. She told me that he's not even into women. But then I found out something that makes this story go nuclear. My father, my own flesh and blood, helped my wife cheat. And you guys want to know why he did it? It's because he says Damon is a very good businessman and he could use him in his business. So my father orchestrated my wife cheating just so he could get close to the guy because he's good at business. Oh yeah, forget about your son, forget about your flesh and blood. Just go with Damon. Well, I wish that was the end of the story, but unfortunately, it's just the beginning. I don't even know how to start this, I've been sitting here for 2 hours trying to figure out how to explain what happened to my marriage. And honestly, the more I type, the more insane it sounds. But I need to get this out somewhere because I feel like I'm losing my mind, and my friends aren't helping either. My wife, Serena. We've been married for 6 years now. Until about 8 months ago, everything seemed great. Normal. We had our routines, our inside jokes, our plans for the future. And then something changed. She started pulling away emotionally, claiming work was getting more demanding, so I tried to be understanding because I know her job can be stressful, but it felt like more than that. Our intimacy became inconsistent in a way that made my stomach turn. When I would try to talk about it, she would shut down or change the subject. Then Damon entered the picture. Well, technically he'd always been around. He works with my father, Clark, at the family company. But suddenly Serena was spending a lot of time with him. Networking, she would call it. So I met Damon once at a company event, and something about him just rubbed me the wrong way. He had this smugness, this confidence that felt performative, but I tried to shake it. My father started praising Damon constantly. Oh, his leadership potential, his business, his future with the company. Clark even encouraged Serena to spend more time with Damon, framing it as a career advancement opportunity. I felt uneasy watching them text constantly, but when I mentioned it, Serena told me Damon was like a brother to her, and that I was being insecure. See, that word insecure, she started using it like it was a weapon. My sister Maria noticed the tension during family dinner. Clark began inviting Damon to these events without even asking. I'd watch Serena laugh too hard at his jokes when I sat there feeling invisible. When I tried to discuss boundaries with my wife, she dismissed me completely. A mutual friend, Elise, pulled me aside one night and said something that's haunting me ever since. She's hinted that Serena seemed emotionally checked out from our marriage. Around this time, Clark started criticizing my lack of business ambition. Serena and my father began siding with each other on everything, so I told myself it was just generational pressure, that Clark had always been demanding, but I felt increasingly isolated in my own family. Well, then Damon started showing up at events I was not even told about. When I asked Serena why she had not mentioned them, she acted like I was being controlling. The fear that I was losing my wife grew into this constant dread I couldn't shake. Well, things got worse. I started noticing Serena kept her phone face down all the time, which is new. When I asked about it, she gave me this speech about privacy and independence like I was some overbearing husband for even noticing. I would hear her taking calls in hushed tones, slipping into other rooms, and Elise mentioned seeing Serena and Damon leave a work event together early, and something in my gut just twisted. So I check our bank account like, the obvious person would do. Charges for expensive lunches and hotel bars kept appearing. When I asked Serena about it, she claimed they were work expenses. My father backed her up, telling me that I should be supportive of her career instead of questioning her. I wanted to trust her. I wanted to believe there was a reasonable explanation, but I felt sick all the time. One night, Serena said she was staying late for a project. Something compelled me to drive by her office building. It was completely dark. Then I saw her car parked near a hotel downtown. I sat there in my vehicle, Fear and disbelief was paralyzing me. I should have gone in. I should have confronted them right then and there. Instead, I drove home and tried to convince myself I was wrong. I confided in Elise, and she urged me to gather more evidence before doing anything, so I checked our family cloud account and discovered Serena had recently disabled it. My father had become unusually protective of her, telling me to focus on myself and stop monitoring my own wife. The comment felt defensive in a way that made my skin crawl. So when I asked Serena again about Damon, she accused me of being paranoid and jealous. I started sleeping on the couch because the stress was eating me alive. I couldn't even look at her without wondering what she was hiding. And then I found her old tablet. She'd forgotten to wipe it before replacing it with a new one. The messaging app was still logged in, and what I found absolutely destroyed me. Months of, messages between Serena and Damon, and they're the type of messages that you're thinking they are. Messages about wishing that he could replace me. Serena writing about waiting for the right moment to leave. But that wasn't even the worst part of it. Oh no. As I scrolled further, shaking and nauseous, I found messages between Serena and my father. Clark had helped her coordinate secret messages with Damon. See, he reassured her that I would survive and that she should just choose better. Yeah, he actually wrote that she should choose better than his own son. There were messages about wanting Damon as a son-in-law for business growth and about how this relationship would strengthen his network. My father facilitated my wife's affair. He actively helped them hide it from me. I confronted Clark first, hoping for some explanation that would make sense. He stayed eerily calm, telling me I had misunderstood adult arrangements, and he called me immature and overly emotional for being upset that my father helped my wife cheat, like I was the problem for caring. When I confronted Serena and showed her the messages, she called me jealous and claimed I was twisting things, even with the proof right in front of her. She denied it. Damon blocked me on everything immediately, and my father actually told me that Serena and Damon were meant to be together. Like that justified anything? I kicked Serena out that night. She left with this smug expression telling me I'd ruined a good future. I didn't understand what she meant at the time. I just knew I couldn't really breathe. My wife and my father had both betrayed me in the worst way possible, and I felt like my entire identity had been shattered. I don't know. Word started to spread quickly, but not the truth. Clark had told extended family that I was unstable and paranoid and that I'd blown up my marriage over nothing. Damon got promoted at work shortly after everything came out, which seemed suspiciously timed. Serena moved in with him temporarily, and he started posting these vague, inspirational quotes on social about truth rising above jealousy. I felt like I was being erased from my own existence, and Maria was furious with our father and supported me completely. But she was the only family member who did. Serena demanded I stop slandering her, and Damon's favorite friends would whisper that I was obsessed with him, like I was some bitter ex instead of a husband whose marriage was just destroyed. Elise saw Serena wearing a ring Damon had given her. They weren't even trying to hide it anymore. I stopped eating properly, I couldn't sleep. At work, Clark avoided me and actually called me a liability. Then Serena filed for separation, and claiming I've been emotionally cruel to her. The audacity of it made me want to scream, so I hired a lawyer. His name was Troy, who warned me this was going to get ugly. Serena kept claiming I was lying about the affair. My father backed her up, saying that he'd seen no signs of cheating, despite the messages I had where he literally helped them coordinate their messages. Damon's promotion seemed directly tied to Clark's influence, and I felt completely powerless. And then Serena sent me this long text saying I've driven her away by being a weak man, that she needs a real man, and I had not been enough. So I obviously at that point just stopped responding. I was emotionally exhausted and could not keep defending myself against the lie. But I kept digging through that tablet, and I found something that explained absolutely everything. It was a draft message Serena had saved, but she never actually sent it. Can you believe that? Yeah, that's right. When I read it, I understood just how calculated this entire thing truly was, and man, it was pretty sickening. Serena, she demanded half of the house in the divorce, claiming I forced her out. But I refused, citing her infidelity, and that's when Clark threatened to cut me out from the family, just entirely. Like he could use my inheritance as leverage to make me comply with his plan for life. So that draft message I found laid out Serena's long-term plans in absolute detail. She intended to divorce me and marry Damon, positioning herself and eventually inherit my father's company with him. She wrote about leveraging Clark's affection for Damon to secure her own financial future. I mean, this was the woman I once loved. There was notes about aligning with my father's vision, about appearing as the perfect loyal daughter-in-law to secure the wealth. She's been playing a long game, and I was just an obstacle to be removed when convenient. I mean, you know what they say. You really shouldn't trust anyone in this lifetime. So I confront her one final time with every bit of evidence I have, and she finally admitted the truth. She said she deserves compensation for the years that she wasted with me. Guys, that was her exact wording. Wasted, like our entire marriage had been nothing but an inconvenience she endured while waiting for something better. Clark tried to convince me to accept reality and move on. He framed it like I was being stubborn by not accepting that my wife and father had conspired to replace me with someone more useful to the family business. When I refused, he made it crystal clear I was no longer welcome in the company. Damon actually tried to console me. Can you believe it? Yeah, him. Saying it was just life, these things happen, buddy. The smugness in his voice made me want to put my fist through a wall, but I just walked away. So I resigned from my role in the family business. Maria offered me a place to stay, and I took it because I had nowhere else to go. I filed legal motions against Serena for marital misconduct and against Clark for asset manipulation, and of course his role in facilitating the affair. My lawyer says we have a case, but I don't know if I even care about winning anymore. So yesterday, I stood outside my father's company building, watching Damon walk inside like he owned the place. Maybe he does now. So, yeah, it's true. He got my wife. He got my father's approval. He even got my position in the family, and probably my inheritance too. Hell, I don't even care. And I got the truth for whatever that's worth. I lost my marriage, my father, and my old life, and I keep thinking there should be some moment of clarity or growth or healing saying, yeah, this is for the better, but there isn't. My void is empty. Everybody keeps asking if I'm okay. Am I going to, harm myself or something? But they don't understand. I would never do that. I don't even know how to explain that I don't even know who I am anymore without the life that I thought that I had. I cut contacts with both Serena and Clark. I don't know if that makes me strong or just broken. Some days I regret finding the tablet because ignorance felt better than this, but at least I'm not anyone's pawn anymore. At least I know the truth, even if the truth is that people I loved most were willing to sacrifice me for their own ambition. And I don't know what happens next. I don't know if I'll ever feel normal again. I just know I can't trust anyone anymore. I can't go back to being the person I was before. The person who trusts too easy and loves people who saw him as expendable. So guys, I'm going to ask anyways, but I think it's ridiculous to ask this question. Am I the a-hole for cutting contact with my father after discovering he helped my wife cheat on me? Well, only because he wanted her a fair partner in the family for business reasonings. Because some days I wonder if I should have just kept my head down and just accepted it like Clark wanted. Maybe out of all of this, that would have been the one easy thing. Maybe that would have been easier than all of this. I don't know, but I know I'm done with this website. I'm going to deactivate my account and not update again. Just know, when you think you can trust somebody, just understand. Humans, we're not meant to be trusted. What's up, everybody? Shorter story than usual, but I thought this one was really interesting. I just can't get over the fact that a father would do that to his own son. Just ignore the fact that his wife was a cheater. His dad? Let's read 2 comments, and believe it or not, you know how I like to get one against OP and one supporting OP. And it's hard to find one that was against OP in today's story, but you know what? I found one. Comment 1 says, I don't even care if you guys like me or not after this comment, but I think you're leaving out a massive part of the story and painting yourself as a complete victim when there's clearly more going on here. First of all, you mentioned Serena growing distant and your intimacy becoming inconsistent, but you never once reflect on what you might have been doing wrong in the marriage that pushed her away in the first place. Your father calling you emotionally weak and criticizing your lack of business ambition, it doesn't come from the sky, out of the blue. It doesn't come from nowhere. It sounds like everyone in your life was trying to tell you something and you just stuck your head in the sand like an ostrich. You drove by her workplace to spy on her instead of having an adult conversation. And you're surprised that she called you jealous and paranoid? Are you kidding me? Of course she did. Maybe she was networking with Damon and you created this entire affair narrative in your head because of your own insecurities. The fact that you immediately went scorched earth and kicked her out on the spot without even attempting marriage counseling or talking to her shows you were looking for an excuse to blow everything up. How do we know you're not a cheater? How do we know you didn't orchestrate this to get away from her? Your own father sided with her. Your extended family also, thinks that you're unstable. At what point do you consider, geez, I'm the problem here? She wasted years with you because you probably gave her nothing but insecurity and controlling behavior while Damon actually supported her career growth. You quit the family business like a child, throwing a tantrum instead of fighting for your position like an adult. Grow up. Go into therapy and stop blaming everyone else for your failed marriage when you clearly drove her into another man's arms. So let me get this straight. You are the a-hole and you need some serious help. Guys, I'm just going to say I do not agree with this comment at all. Maybe there is some parts of the story that were left out, but we cannot ignore the fact that we know his wife cheated and we know his father orchestrated it. It's pretty obvious to me. Anyways, comment 2 is a lot better. It supports OP. It says, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry this happened to you, OP. And I read the comments above me. They're saying you're at fault here. It's absolutely crazy. They're out of their mind. Oh, and they're probably cheating on their own partner. Your father, the man who was supposed to protect you and have your back no matter what, actively conspired with your wife to facilitate an affair and replace you in your own family? And people are really sitting here asking what you did wrong. She didn't just cheat, she spent months planning a calculated takeover of your life, your inheritance and your position in the family business while gaslighting you into thinking you were paranoid. The messages you found prove that she was scheming to divorce you and marry Damon to position herself for your father's wealth. That's not a woman who, quote, fell out of love. That's a con artist who saw you as a stepping stone. Yeah, that's true. Your father calling you immature for being devastated by this betrayal is narcissistic abuse of the highest order. What are we even talking about here? And the fact that he threatened to cut you out of the company when you wouldn't play along shows this was always about control and manipulation. Damon getting promoted right after the affair came out is proof this whole thing was orchestrated from the top down to benefit everyone except you, his son. The people defending Serena are probably cheaters themselves who want to justify their own their trash behavior by victim blaming you. You did nothing wrong by cutting off people who treated you like a disposable pawn in their business scheme. OP, please ignore these comments. Stay strong, write down everything for your lawyer, and take them for everything they're worth in court. And never look back at these toxic, evil people who value money and status over basic human decency. You deserve so much better than a wife who saw you as a wasted time, and a father who essentially sold you out for one business connection that he doesn't even know will pay off. Guys, I don't think I could have said it better myself from comment 2. I would like to know your thoughts on it, so drop a comment down below. Let's talk about this one. Interesting story. I'm sorry once again it was pretty short, maybe 15-minute story. I have a long story coming out soon. It's a massive wedding crasher. It has to do with an ex who crashes a very, very big wedding. See, this wedding has been planned for multiple years. And the ex, well, OP hasn't seen this guy since high school. Little does she know, he's been following along with her entire life through social media, and the second that he noticed she got engaged, well, he just couldn't take it anymore. He crashed the wedding. And it's a very long story. It's multiple updates, so I'll probably make it into 2 or 3 videos. That story will be coming out sometime this week. So you know what? Subscribe. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. And of course, remember one thing. It's cool to be kind. Peace.